So, you gonna do a show? You want to do a show?
I think we probably could. I mean, we normally just get together on Sundays and chit chat on Zoom because we like seeing each other. It's more of a personal touch, you know what I mean? Feels intimate a little bit. But if you want to do a show, we can do a show. Go ahead. Let's start us off.
Yeah, I say we do a show.
Fucking get in there, dog. I'm here with you. Let's hold hands. Let's get this done.
Welcome to the Stiff Truth. I'm Bob West. I'm here with the great Scott Casanova, who is still reeling over the loss of Adrian Peterson, but we're going to get him past it.
AP, baby. AP, man. It's
How
tough,
you doing,
bro.
Scott?
Not too bad, bro. Like you just said, though, it's been a little rough. I mean, we literally were just talking about football a couple days ago. I mean, we got the kickoff of opening regular season is this Thursday, and right away, first thing out of my mouth, I was like, man, it's sure great that we just keep signing AP to these one-year contracts. He's like the backbone of the team, probably the biggest leader in the locker room, and goddamn, for being 35 or whatever he is now, he's still a beast of a man who can always pick up those yards that you need. And then the next day, they go ahead and cut him. And from what I understand, he felt kind of blindsided by the cut, too. Didn't make the 53-man roster, but Alex Smith did, which I thought was interesting. But I don't know if you saw it, but the Lions aren't stupid. They're like, hey, come back to the NFC North. We got a spot for you, bud. So,
yeah, and that's a good pickup for them, too.
yeah, seriously.
Always been a huge AP fan. For any of you guys that haven't heard, he got into some legal trouble a few years back for whipping his kid a little too hard. Problem was the kid was like 3, so I got into some trouble for that. But, you know, he's old school. He's from Texas. I get it. It's not exactly my flavor of punishment for a 3-year-old, but, you know, culturally, I get it. I do.
Yeah. You know what? It probably happened to him, and look what he turned out. He's going to be a Hall of Fame running back, dude. So maybe we need to, you know, take a page out of AP books and start whipping our 3-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Securing your NFL future. Grab that desk.
Oh my God! Well, hey, man, how's the week been treating you since we talked last?
It's been going good. You know, Labor Day's here. Spent some time at the pool. Got the numbers all perfect. The temperature's like right at 80. It's pretty legit, and it's gonna be like, I don't know, like potential snow flurries in like 2 days. So I'm glad I did all that work so that I could now dismantle my pool either today or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. Have a little bit more time. But yeah, it's supposed to be 96 today and 97 tomorrow. And then like 50 the next day is the high. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that disappointing thing with the pool, and recognizing, like you did last week, that the pool season is officially over, which is kind of standard issue, really. When you look at Labor Day weekend, normally is when public pools close down. That's their last weekend. So I think we're hitting the mark on that. Everyone's going to be disappointed, but, you know, it is what it is.
Hey, we got to move on with life. I mean, you know, like Labor Day is always kind of the unofficial, like, last hurrah of summertime for a lot of people, right? You know, everybody's usually the big dogs, C-level people getting in their last minute, you know, end of summer vacations around this time. Yeah, you know, actually, Jamie and Elizabeth right now, because it is 97 degrees up here today, they're at the pool right now. It's, you know, this last weekend for the pool, man. So might as well soak it up, get it in. Because unlike you, being, you know, about what? I don't know how many hundred miles away you are from me. I go by hours. You're about 6.5, 7 hours away from me. But going up north here on Tuesday, it's going to be 37 and snowing. So that's pretty interesting that literally it's going to be 96 degrees tomorrow and then 37 the next day. That's quite a fucking swing. That's like Mother Nature is just, she's being a cold-hearted bitch right now. And I mean literally a cold-hearted bitch. You know what I'm saying, man? Because that's extreme.
Yeah, I just the 60-degree dip. I mean, most of the country doesn't know. I love the sea level people. Let's moniker that the SLP, the SLP crew. That's going to be all you coasters out there. So that's fantastic. Trying to get in to see exactly how far Denver really is from me. I'm curious to see. 441 miles.
Okay, so yeah, I always say on a nice quick pace without stopping too much, it's a good 6-hour drive. So,
Yeah,
that makes
Google
sense.
has it right around 6 hours and 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
that's the speed limit, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
to be said for that.
I usually put myself on cruise control about 10 to 15 miles over the speed limit. That way, if I do see a cop, I could tap the brakes and be in that little range, the good range, like where I'm like, he's speeding, but he's not fucking smacking me in the face with his speed. You know what I mean? He's not being an asshole about it. So that's what I
Yeah,
usually do.
yeah. You wanna go like 7 miles an hour over is like pushing it, because then you're just like, am I going fast enough for it to be worth it?
Exactly. I
Anything
mean,
under 5 isn't really worth it, all right?
you're being an asshole to yourself if you're going like 2 miles over. I mean, like, what are you doing? Either slow down and go the speed limit or fucking kick it up, jackass. You know?
Yeah, I think
Come
here
on.
it's like a $50 fine, and then it's like $1 or $10 every mile an hour over up to 5. But then after you're 10, it's like a fucking $250 fine. It's like exponential. So you don't want to get caught 10 miles an hour over.
It's funny, but it should be if you're going 5 or less over, they should have the right just to pull you over and smack you like a bitch. It's like, what's that for?
Do you know
Don't be
why
a
I pulled
bitch.
you over? No, I don't, officer. Oh, that's
Oh,
why.
you'll speed up or go the fucking speed limit and have a good day. Get out of here. Thank you, officer. Thank you for the warning. Hey, speaking of Labor Day, you guys got any plans for some grilling? Anything? Any good things you're gonna be cooking up over the
No, I
weekend
did
here?
some grilling yesterday, and then the day before we made a rack of ribs. So did a rack of ribs, did some burgers yesterday. So I don't know. We might do more burgers, or I don't know. Probably. I have some brats and burgers, so that's always a fun time. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of whatever. I don't ever really plan grilling a whole lot unless I go and buy a special meat for it. But I always have chicken, pork, brats, and burgers in the house, like on the ready. So at any given time, my wife
So
may just be like, "Hey, go grill something," and I usually can.
I like that. You're a spontaneous griller. See, I'm more planned out, methodical about it. Like literally, I went to Costco. I don't know if you got your ribs there, but goddamn, I went there yesterday doing my normal Saturday thing, and I see everybody like, just like scavenging this one little area, and it almost like looked like toilet paper a few months ago. And I was like, what's going on over there? I got to go check it out. There's a spectacle, and it's literally already seasoned baby back ribs, 2 fucking big racks in a package for like $19. So I'm like, oh dude, 100%. So I've got both of those still in the fridge. I think I'm going to cook one up today. Why not, right? Cook one up tomorrow. I also did get some brats, and I got these really nice like jalapeno, like cut in half with some cheese and like with some cream cheese and then wrapped in bacon, but everything's fresh. Got those from the store,
Yeah.
kind of like a pre-made grilling area. Throw those all on the Traeger tomorrow with some brats, couple of racks of fucking baby back ribs. Tits, baby. Tits. That's how we do it.
Yeah, I feel like I need a new grill. It seems like you got a new grill. Another one of our mutual friends got a new grill. I'm
Did
seeing
that
them all around me.
did I have to ask you too. Did that sting a little bit because you literally went and picked it up for him? I just got a new pellet grill. Then our friend gets a new pellet grill. You're driving it. Did you drive it to him? Is that what?
He met me at the shipping place.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it was freight shipped in town. So there's a large distribution place had it that was not like UPS or FedEx or whatever. Because it's like 200 pounds worth of shit. So
It's actually, yeah.
do something
It's,
else, right? So we go over there and they bring it out on a pallet, and he just doesn't have a truck or an SUV or anything.
sure.
So
Sure.
I
That's
drove
what I
over there
figured.
to meet him, and then drove to his house. It's COVID, so I just like was real quick. Let's drop this off, mask up, drop it off. I'm out. It
Yeah,
wasn't
gave him a quick handy. Get out of there real quick. Nothing
yeah,
too personal, right?
wasn't a big deal. It was more like send me some pictures of this bad boy when it's all put together, and then send me pictures of the first meat that you do because I want to see it. But
Then he sent you a dick pic. You're all, dude, wrong meat, man. I mean, seriously, but nice
no,
work.
beef, not man meat, beef. Yeah,
Well,
appreciate you, but
well, see, I can kind of see you. I know if I was in that position, and I because I've been really wanting a pellet grill since my pops got one, and I went up there, in Washington, and just like I was obsessed with it for like the whole week I was there. I was like, let's go get some more fucking meat, and let's just keep putting it on the grill, So I can kind of imagine myself if I was you, like, yeah, Scotty just got a new one of these. Now you're getting one, and then driving away, just kind of that one single tier, just.
it's not that big of a deal. I've got some other ticket items I'm working on right now, so it's on the list. It's just like it hasn't cracked the top 5 as of right now, but
Well,
we'll get there. We'll get there. I don't really grill much in the winter, so here in the next month or so, after fall, probably around November is when like the grilling will be shut down for the season for me because I don't like grilling in the snow. and then
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
won't open it up again until about April. So I think by that time I'll probably have made my grill purchase. If you
That makes
Stiffies out there have any good recommendations on grill, have fun with it.
no.
Send them our way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you got a little bit longer of a grill season than me. I'm going to say, like, not this weekend, but probably close to the end of September, or maybe a little bit earlier up here, man. Well, who knows what the weather gets crazy? Probably that bitch is going to be in the garage until May. You know what I mean? Up here, because we're still getting snow.
Right. So
I
normally
same thing.
here though, our first snow doesn't happen until that last week of October, first week of November.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of correlating. Once it's snow season, I'm out. I'm cooking everything in the oven and the stove at that point.
100%. Yeah, no, I feel you there, man. And then it's actually because, another reason too why it's so nice to grill outside in the heat is like, why turn on the oven and make it 10 degrees hotter in the kitchen when you don't have to? You know what I mean? Fuck all that shit.
Even though that's how I did the ribs the other day.
Oh, really?
Low and slow, 2.5 hours at like 275 inside, and then go and top them off with some charring and some grilling on the outside real quick for like another 20 minutes.
See, I don't know if it's just me. It can't be just me, but what you just described there was almost like some food porn. I started to get a little bit of a chub when you were describing the low and slow, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that sounds real good. Yeah, I like that."
Well, put that meat out of the oven in medium pace. Oh yeah. It's time for liquid smoke. Oh, all over it, all over the top of it.
It's getting hot in here. Are you hot? Oh God!
So I start off grabbing my meat with a good dry rub. And then I massage the rub into it, and then I pull it out occasionally with the liquid smoke and just all over the top, all over with liquid smoke.
Yep. I love that. A dry rub. That sounds a little bit painful, but I like what you did there. Well, speaking of the season, we got football season starting next week. We were just talking about that, bro. You got to be stoked. You got to be stoked that this kind of, and who knows what can happen. Hopefully everything stays the course and they don't have to cancel football or anything like that. But you got to be stoked. I'm stoked. We haven't seen football since last February. Let's get it done.
We're going to stay the course. It wouldn't be prudent.
Not at this juncture.
So, yeah, I am excited for football. I understand a little bit more why most college seasons are canceled at this point. And if not now, they probably all will be. Kids are much more difficult to control than millionaires. I mean, let's just call that what it is. I mean, we're already seeing like COVID frat parties and kids getting suspended from school for going against policy and having these large parties and spreading COVID. And we've already seen a bunch of reports already. And Bob, it's been like 1 month.
That's true. And I'm stuck on your quote right there. I feel that could be something that almost like a Confucius type thing. Kids are easier to control than millionaires.
Harder.
Oh, kids are harder to control. Harder control. Excuse me. Kids are harder to control than millionaires. That seems like there should be a lot more thought put into that. That's a good one, Bob. You should coin that one. I like that a lot because that could go either way if you ask me. But I get what you're saying. Saying, hey, you're professionals. You do this for a living. Fucking keep your shit together and don't get sick is a lot easier to say to professionals that make millions of dollars doing this versus guys that just want to party and fuck chicks. Or guys, whatever.
If it were the other way around as far as like off-season, off-the-clock millionaires just spending their money, then they're probably much harder to control, right?
Sure.
But they're earning their money, literally getting game checks, right? So I think at that point they're probably a little bit easier to control. But it'll be interesting to see the dynamics. Baseball hasn't done a great job, and it seems like football is going to be set up similar to baseball. Hockey's done a better job. And NBA's done a fantastic job, but they have the easiest logistical hurdle, right? They're 12-man rosters.
And they're literally just completing a season that got derailed by COVID when it was already well into the season. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different setup. It's basic, and that's why they can do the bubble in Orlando. You know what I mean? Because like
NFL
you said,
cannot do the bubble. Neither can MLB. There's just too many people. I mean, MLB has 25-man rosters. NFL has 53-man rosters. That is a lot of people to keep in hotel rooms. I don't even know if there's a spot big enough for what is it, 1,500 people or something active in the NFL once the season starts?
I'll tell you what's going to be really
That's quick
interesting,
math.
dude. The dynamics here, an extra layer of like fantasy dynamics here is you're going to pick up some badasses, and who can account for somebody getting COVID or the teammate getting COVID and they're quarantined for 2 weeks and they can't be on the field for like games 3 and 4 or whatever. That's going to be interesting.
In fact, I hopped on a chat the other day that we were specifically talking about that as fantasy owners and fantasy
No.
commissioners about the rule changes and things that we're doing to go along with the COVID, right? So I'm a commissioner in a league. It's been
Hey, commish.
I think we're on year 6 now.
Nice. Very cool.
So it's fun league, very competitive, but we've decided to drop our entry fee way down from what it normally is. Get rid of a lot of like transaction fees and all that, or all of it really, because we want to try to accommodate and without anyone getting fucked, right? If all of a sudden you have 2 running backs on the same team because oftentimes you have a handicap, right? And then COVID hits people and they shut down, or their whole team shut down for 2 weeks sometimes, which we've seen in baseball.
Sure.
Then what? Your season's over.
Yeah.
So we're gonna open up, change some rules around, allow more roster spots, make things a little bit more user friendly, because it is going to be interesting watching that go down. And will COVID end up affecting seeding, playoff spots, causing people to lose the playoffs? Will Tom Brady get COVID in week 14 and Tampa Bay was right on the bubble going to the playoffs, and now they're not, because who knows?
He's been down there. He's been down there in Tampa Bay dipping his stick and all kinds of shit. So who knows what that guy's getting tangled into? It's a lot of temptation down there. I know he's married to Giselle or what have you, but seriously,
does TB12 keep off COVID-19? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting regardless. I know what you're saying. It's definitely going to be like everything this year. Everything is going to be different this year. It's the new normal of 2020, which makes me want to vomit in my mouth every time I hear the new normal kind of thing. But it is exciting nonetheless. One thing that I can say is positive. I mean, I've been kind of keeping my ear to the ground here. I haven't seen many things in training camp or in and around the league so far where they've had to be worried about COVID to the extent where they've had to cancel things or anything like that. So fingers crossed that maybe things just die down a little bit just in time for football season to flourish. Because
and by all accounts, it looks like probably mid-December is a realistic first actual approved vaccine hitting the streets, right? So we'll see how that goes, but I think you're right. So far, the NFL players have just been told to go home, come to practice, try to minimize your contacts, and keep your teammates safe, and they've done a fairly good job of that. So maybe they can do a better job now. Teams also in the NFL, because of their size, they also charter planes, whole planes for their trips instead of hopping on a plane or whatever with the public. So
there's that too.
They
can isolate themselves a little bit better. Yeah, totally. And just with the amount of baseball games versus the weekly kind of schedule that the NFL has, that might have contributed a little bit more to MLB having a little bit more problems. It's just more frequent, kind of contact with different teams and whatnot. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I got to imagine nobody in the stands, right? Is it going to be an empty stadiums for now? I'm
pretty sure it's going to be empty stadiums, which the owners I'm sure love.
Oh yeah. I mean, considering like how much money that the stadiums make from concessions alone, not even just ticket sales. Whew, goddamn, man. I wonder if
and I heard someone put it to where if the owners can't like lose a year of profits from concession sales and tickets and merch the day of the game, then they're doing it wrong, because they should have a lot of retained earnings at this point, because NFL owners are one of the highest profitable, owners of any sports franchises, and their margins are really, really high for profitability. So if they're squandering all that retained earnings, then that's kind of their fault.
Well, you say that, but look at teams that have always just kind of been borderline anyways. I mean, I'd be pretty nervous as the Browns owner right now. You know what I mean? Or even like the Lions owner. There's a couple teams out there that have been, doing shitty enough for a long period of time. The Lions had a little flare up of doing good for a couple of years, but then they went right back to the bottom again. I would imagine that they're a little bit nervous about not having any fans. Or maybe it's like no big deal to some of these guys too. It's like, whatever. We barely even sold half the stadium anyways on like playoff games. So no big deal. No sweat off my sack.
Now, beyond all of that, who do you like this year?
Well, Well, it's interesting, man. I mean, obviously, I always just kind of go off recent trades, and then unfortunately, I got to go off like how they played last year, or maybe the potential some teams had before a lot of injuries. So I'm interested to see how the Washington football team does, just because. They've added some great talent on defense, and we'll see if Haskins can actually hack it. I also know that Smith made the cut as a quarterback too, so I'm interested to see if Haskins shit the bed and he actually has confidence and they feel ready enough to put him in, because that could be a game changer. Beyond that, I mean, sticking just with our division here, I'm always interested to see what the Cowboys have, because Zeke got a huge contract in the offseason, right? Or was that last year? Can't remember.
No, it was in the off season. It just seems like a long time, right?
I know it really does. So interested there. I'm also very interested just because of the flip flop of a couple things, but I'm interested to see how the Patriots do, because I think just today Cam Newton was named the starting quarterback, which I think we all knew was going to happen.
Well, he's the only quarterback they have in their team, so.
Well, what is it, Hoyer or something like that? You didn't think he was going to make the cut,
right? Yeah.
But
2015 MVP or Hoyer?
Yeah, right. But I'm also interested to see flip side how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did, because honestly, you take fucking what's his name? I'm drawing a blank.
Jameis Winston.
Yeah, you take Winston out of the equation. They were a great fucking team last year offensively.
Well, I think he threw like 33 touchdowns and 33 picks.
Yeah. So you take him out of the equation with those 33 picks that were probably game-changing picks, a lot of them that turned the tide for those games. They were already very high powered. They already got Mike Evans in there. They got some. So you throw Brady in there. I know he's old, but I think in that division, let's just face it, I don't think the Falcons are really going to do much, even though they got some great talent on offense. But I really think it's going to be the Saints, or you might be really surprised that fucking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dominate that division and get into the playoffs. So there's that.
Well, they were like 2 games out of the playoffs, I believe, last year, something around there. So does Tom Brady give you, 3-4 games off of his decision-making and clutch abilities alone? Probably. All right, probably.
I think he literally walks in there and already did, and probably pumps up the confidence and the motivation of the entire team tenfold.
And you gotta love the owners of Tampa Bay thinking, "Oh, we got Brady now. We're gonna sell out." Oh, wah, wah.
I fucking COVID, man, fucking up everything. But hey, jersey sales gonna go through the roof for them. You know what I mean? Who doesn't want to? Especially down there in Tampa Bay. I know all my cousins and everything. They're gonna get themselves a fucking Brady jersey, 100%. So, going through the. I'm interested to see if old Kirk Cousins can keep the Vikings going, because I think in that division, I hate to say it, the Packers kind of, I think, they had their window, and I think they're kind of going downhill. I'm not saying Rodgers is over the hill or anything like that, but the team is depreciated since their Super Bowl run, and I really see. I think Minnesota could take that division. They did a great job last year, and I think the teams, they haven't really lost anybody. They still got Diggs, and they still got they still got their great receiving core. They have a badass running back. But then you throw AP in the mix as a Lion. So I don't know, man. We'll see what's going on there, but I definitely think I think the Vikings are going to probably do pretty well in that division.
Oh no, Diggs is gone.
Oh, where'd he go?
He went to Buffalo.
You know what? I was just going to talk about that because of the switch up from Brady to Cam. Let's just face it. Cam's a great leader. He's a good quarterback. If they have to, and I think they're going to have, even though he's only 31, I think they're going to have a lot of design runs for the guy. If he gets hurt, I think in a landslide, that's the fucking Bills division, dude. Dude, Flacco is fucking on the Jets now. Okay, if the Jets could tank anymore, that's kind of nail in the coffin, if you ask me. And then beyond that, you got Miami. I don't think Miami's going to be much this year. I mean, that's just me. And the Bills were fantastic last year. Great. They've had a great fucking defense for years now, too. So I think this is their window to get back up there.
Well, I think in that division, the Bills have the highest trajectory because of their young second-year quarterback now. And their defense is, if not the best in the league, it's right up there.
They're lights out, man. They're totally lights out.
That's a team that's poised well for the future to do well in that division for several years, if not go on a tear. and pop off a few divisional titles.
And honestly, you throw Diggs, in the receiving core now. Now they have a ridiculous deep threat too. So that's pretty exciting. I didn't know. I think I had seen that he had been traded, but I didn't know that. So
Yeah, it rang a bell. And honestly, are the Raiders in Vegas yet? Or are they still in the Coliseum?
they should be. They should be. Quote. I mean, you might want to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure this is their first season. And we talked about this before. Gruden. Let's just call it what it is. When Gruden won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was not really his victory, if you ask me. It was Tony Dungy that built the defense before he went to Indianapolis. And the reason why they did so well against the Raiders is he came from the Raiders and knew their play like the back of his hand. That's why there were 6 interceptions in that Super Bowl. So I'm very interested to see what he does with this team now, because he does seem like he has his shit together. And let's just face it too. When people are commentators, especially coaches, they always sound like they're fucking brilliant coaches because they get the opportunity to retrospectively talk about games. You know what I mean? So I'm interested, but clean slate. I think he did a good job building that team last year. And then they get like a new stadium, new city, kind of kind of just a revamp, so to speak. But we're also talking about a division where you got, let's see, the Chiefs, the Broncos, Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are going to be much to worry about, but I do think the Chiefs, come on now. Mahomes has signed his fucking $1 billion deal or what have you. I think the only thing they were weak at last year was running back, dude, but they really didn't need a strong running back with Mahomes. So I still think the Chiefs might take that division, though.
Yeah, they're poised to take it. I think the Raiders are probably second best team in that division, which is tough for Jessica to hear.
Well, the Broncos are on a skid, man. So,
Well, they got a quarterback. That rookie quarterback came and showed a lot of promise. So we'll see how he goes along. But I think the Raiders are there. I think the Raiders are going to be fighting for that division. I think the Raiders are going to be one of the better teams in the West, just in general. But it's really exciting. I mean, I'm always hopeful for the Cowboys because, I'm a Cowboy fan. So I'm
Come
used
on, Jerry,
to
baby. Come on, Jerry.
used to mediocrity.
Me too, baby.
But
good old 8-8 seasons are usually a big win for us.
I'm just excited to have it back, and get some football in, at least get an escape. I think we've talked about this on the show before, but I think as a country, we all need some football to watch in the weekends. Need to eat some wings and some junk food and have some beers and have that little slice of normal, right?
A little slice of heaven, bro. And it's funny too, because I'm sure you're the same way, bro, but every Sunday, unless I want to keep calling them the Skins. Fuck! I guess I can't do that anymore. The Washington football team. But every time Washington plays, unless it's on a Thursday, dude, I get up, I do my thing. First thing I do is I throw my jersey on. I start, I got slippers. I got Skins. I'm just going to say what it is because this is all the stuff. I got Skins slippers. I got my Skins koozie. I got my Skins salt and pepper shakers. I got my little Mr. Potato Head. I've got my little stuffed animal bear. Everything possible kind of like accessory that you can think of. I've got Redskins. And I get very, very ritualistic and superstitious with it. And I get so fired up for every game. And Jamie usually asks me like, you're screaming at the TV. You're upset. Why do you keep watching this? I have to, because it's still every single week, even if we're like 1-12, like for that week, I still get up with this. We're gonna turn it around. We're gonna turn it around today, or we're going for the best draft pick, or whatever it is. I'm always very optimistic about my team, and yeah, Sundays are super, super fun. So I'm glad so far that things are still looking good. You know what I mean, buddy? So.
We'll see. Hopefully they can make it through the whole season. Roger Goodell put out a statement saying that he feels strongly that they'll be able to complete their season this year. So we'll see. I mean, the good news is they're the last sports franchise or sports entity to get to start a season, so they get to learn from everyone's implementation of what they've done and try to implement it better. Right. So
yeah, and they've got the benefit of more time. And
right.
Outside of looking at that, they've had a little bit more time, and it's not like fucking COVID's cooled down, but just to have people start, having procedures in place to deal with it better on a grand scheme of things, not just sports. So even people, that started like in July or whatever, you've got like now 4 months later to just understand how to live with this more. Like you were saying, if they just mind their P's and Q's, go to practice, go to game day, go home. If they're going out to get shit, put on your fucking mask, wash your fucking hands, that kind of shit. I mean, we should see nil things. Fingers crossed.
And they also have the benefit of their games only being once a week. So
Yeah,
if they get
100%.
COVID, then they're missing maybe 2 or 3 games versus the NBA or
Oh,
hockey
Jesus.
or
Baseball, Jesus.
baseball. Then yeah, you get COVID, you're out maybe 15 games.
Yeah.
So I think that helps them out too. So we'll see. We're fingers crossed on the COVID for the NFL.
Don't ruin this fucking shit for us, you fucking dirty whore of a fucking piece of garbage shit disease. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
So other than that, what else has been going on this week? I saw that Nancy Pelosi got a haircut.
A fucking stupid old hack. And you know what? I hear that she got her dentures tightened too. I think too, which should be. There it is, Bob. Keep them in. Keep them in. It's like a little. It's like it's like her own little game of hockey or something like that in her mouth. But yeah, this was pretty ridiculous. I mean, this is as far because we made a commitment. This is going to be a political free show, but we got to talk about Nancy real quick because. And I don't know if the Stiffies heard this, right? I'm sure they saw it on all the news outlets. She went and got a haircut. Well, big BF fucking D. Like, who the fuck cares, right? But the interesting part about it is the city that she runs and helps run, San Francisco, they're still pretty much on hardcore closures and lockdowns on many businesses, hair salons and things like that. They've been open in Denver for months now. You guys are doing okay there, right? That kind of stuff, hairstyle.
Yeah. In fact, I think we're about to open our restaurants back up to 50%.
Boom. Booyah. So, I mean, things are getting back to a slice of normalcy everywhere else, at least at a percentage of normal. San Francisco, not the case, man. So a lot of these local business owners have been really struggling. I mean, you're not still supposed to open up your business to patrons or anything like that. Long short, Nancy's been a regular at this salon for years now in San Francisco. She's got a running appointment on the books, right? So the whole story here is she went to go get her hair did, which 80-year-old women should always do so they look their best when their dentures are fucking floating out of their mouth. And she was caught on video because the owner of the salon has had video surveillance installed for over 5 years now, according to the owner. And people got pretty upset when this video came out and went viral. It's like, wow, look at Nancy, not only not practicing what she preaches, but she's on video and they're just walking through without a mask on. And she's a hardcore proponent of making sure if you do have to go out in my shutdown city, you better be wearing a goddamn facial mask everywhere you go. So she's taking a lot of shit for that. And icing on the cake is she refuses to apologize to her city or to take any fucking blame. And the only thing she would do, Bob, which I thought was very Nancy-esque of her, is she said, the only thing I will say about this is I'm sorry that I was set up. So apparently the salon owner went out of her way to a regular customer of hers and set her up to get her on film to, I'm not sure what she was going to accomplish, but there you have it, Bob. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with someone getting a haircut. Even if wealthy people have perks, they just do. So it could have been anyone that had money in the bank getting their haircut. The problem that I have is the owning up to it. Right, that's the real problem there. Like if she had come out the next day or two, whenever the video released, and be like, listen, I had just taken off my mask for sneezing or whatever the hell, or I kind of explained why she wasn't wearing a mask, or said I wasn't feeling it that day. What we've been there, we've all been there at this point, all right, of COVID. Mm-hmm. But if she came out and just said, hey, this is it, this is how it was. I had this appointment. I needed my hair did. I'm on TV every day. This is the only person that ever does my hair, and I want to support my local business owner because I know they need their money right now. And if the city wants to fine me, whatever that fine is for not wearing my mask, whatever, please send it to my people. I'll pay it. My apologies, but she didn't go that way with it, right? She went in a typical sleazy politician way. Mm-hmm. Oh, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It's always somebody else's fault. And that's the part that fucking bothers me about these old ass, slick ass politicians, right? Just own your shit. And everyone, America's the land of forgiving. right?
Or forgetting, for Christ's sakes. They'll forget as long as you're not an asshole about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Fucking A, man.
So I think she made it a story where she could have squashed it. And
She could have very easily. She could have been unpolitician-like and been forthcoming and genuine and honest about it, right? So, and I agree with you 100% there. In fact, taking it one step further too, to me it's disgusting of what she did. Not because she went and got a fucking haircut. I want to get a haircut. So I haven't got a haircut since COVID. Just because I don't want to wear a mask while I'm sitting in the chair getting a haircut. I already have anxiety, as you know. I don't like sitting in the chair having to create small talk with this person I don't give two shits about. Just cut my fucking hair. Let's move on. And now having an extra layer of just uncomfortable weirdness, wearing a mask and having her trim around my ears. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to fuck with it. I'm just going to buzz my hair until I can go back to the fucking, to the barber when I can like not have the mask. I went that route. Whatever. I'm a little bit strange, Bob. You already know this about me. However, what really pissed me off is that she didn't own up to it. And she rolled over on her fucking long-standing hairstylist that, because of the mandates that Nancy has put in place and holds true on more so than the rest of the country, that fucking business owner has been fucking suffering horribly. And now Nancy, because she wants to take the radar off her and push the blame on this lady, she's making it even worse on this individual. So not only is she contributing to this fucking local business owner suffering more than she needs to be, she's also going ahead and pushing the blame back onto her too, just to make it that much harder for her. So that's why I think it's pretty piece of shit.
How awkward is that next after post-COVID haircut going to be?
She was like, so what's
hey, girl.
going on?
Hey, Nancy, fucking
you
dick.
Fucking come here, Nancy. I was like, oh, shit, honey, I didn't mean to cut the top of your ear off. My shear slipped. Sorry about that, baby.
Yeah, do you think now she needs to find a new hairstylist? I would imagine she probably does.
Oh, I know. Just from hearing an interview with that the salon owner, she's infuriated with Pelosi. You know what I mean? She's already attributed, like I was just saying, to the decline of her business. Now, obviously, she can't blame that all on Pelosi, but the mandates that are in San Francisco, like we're just talking about, still much more stringent than the rest of the country. Is there science behind that? Probably not. It seems like the rest of the country is doing okay by letting people get their fucking haircut. Just wear a goddamn mask. So there's that. The other really interesting thing is the appointment took place on the 31st. And on the 1st, San Francisco amended their guidelines to allow hairstyles, like hair salons, to be open. So she could have waited one fucking day and it wouldn't have been a big story. She still would have had to wear a mask, but I thought that was pretty interesting. She's that hardcore. She's like, no. I don't get my fucking hair done on Tuesdays. It's every Monday, second Monday of every month that I go here, like that kind of shit. So
yeah, and this is why we need term limits. That attitude of that I'm a holier than thou politician because I've been doing it for 30, 40 years or whatever. That just needs to go away. There's just a real problem that I have with someone being in that kind of power for that long and getting developed relationships and having that level of freedom. So much that she thought, well, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. And then when someone calls me out on it, I'll just fucking deflect and try to blame the small guy. Right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's the type of politician that we don't need in office anymore. And then that's both sides of the aisle. So
100%.
We just need term limits so that attitude just never develops to begin with, because you're actually just think if you're a senator, what is it, 6 years for Senate?
Yeah, I think so.
I
thought it was it? They have election. They vote every 2 years though, don't they?
Right, but they flop. So maybe it's 4 years. I don't know. Fact check that.
Yeah, I will.
So the thing about it is, if you only had one term as a senator, and you had 4 or 6 years or whatever, then you'd be so concerned trying to get out there and hit the streets, talk to your other senators, talk to people, trying to prove your point, that you wouldn't have time to develop this culture, because you'd have so little time to even try to get your agenda done.
Yeah, and you were right, though. I had it flip-flop. House is every 2 years. They have 2-year terms, the House of Representatives, which is fucking crazy. Pelosi is the majority leader of the House. She's been voted in every 2 years for fucking 30-something years. That's okay. That's just nuts. And then senators are 6 years. I'm going to let's shut it down, though. We're getting political. Let's shut it down. Shut that fucking shit down. We're done. Nancy Pelosi needs to tighten her dentures. And again, her with Biden and everybody else at 75, whatever plus, they need to go sit down in a nice rocking chair, get a nice warm cup of soup, and watch The Price is Right, or maybe she's more of a Jeopardy person. I'm not quite sure.
I'm just saying about the dentures real quick. If I had millions of dollars and I went on TV looking like the right and left side of my jaw were playing tennis with my dentures, then I would just go get permanent fucking dentures. Like, what is the deal here? Like, I want
Seriously.
permanent dentures now. Like, much less if I was on TV every day.
That was
Yeah,
good.
I just don't get it. Quit fucking around with the fix-it-ins and just go get your shit fixed.
Obviously the fix-it-in is not working, and I like what you said there. Each side of the mouth playing tennis. I was kind of thinking each side, playing pong. It's a good visual though, each one, because she's like boom, 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 just like
When you're watching her, your eyes just keep going back and forth like a tennis match, left and right, watching her like denture get toggled back and forth. It's
you feel like you want to hear people like That's classic.
But really, that's just your stomach turning on the inside watching her.
Yeah, because it's literally like her dentures are floating in her mouth. Wow. Okay. Anyways, enough about Pelosi. Get your fucking hair did, girl. But own up to your bullshit and quit shitting on your constituents. Just call it what it is, right? Anyways, man. Well, that was pretty good for us, because I think that's the only slice of political commentary that we have for this show, which is it's very good for us. We're getting better. I think we're addicted to politics, but we're weaning off slowly. So
you know what it is? It's middle age. We have a lot more invested in politics and the economy right now than we ever did, 15, 20 years ago, when we didn't even know who our state representative was.
Yeah, seriously, true. It's very true.
But these days, because you've got your retirement planning trying to happen, you got your children to worry about, supporting a family and all this other things. You keep a watchful eye on what's happening in the country, and you have a lot more invested. So I think that's just kind of where we're at. So
yeah.
Wives, be prepared for the Corvette. It's coming.
That's right, baby. The midlifer is coming up. Speaking of which, something else that we do a little bit more now, but we do it in a very connoisseur type way, is some great cocktails. I'm about ready for one. What about you, bud?
Yeah, I need one. Let's go have one.
All right, buddy.
Cheers, Scotty.
Oh, cheers all the way. Cheers to your tits.
Cheers for fears.
Oh, that's a great band.
Cheers for beers.
Cheers. Go ahead and recline that thing all the way back. Pour yourself a nice little bottle of bubbly.
Hey there.
Hey, Bubba. How are ya?
I am back. I'm doing great.
I didn't notice your. Could you move your microphone just a little bit? I'm trying to look at your shirt. Is that a Game of Thrones shirt?
It is.
Oh, cool. Now, I literally just saw the top of the crest there, and I was like, "It's a Game of Thrones."
Stark in the streets, wildling in the sheets.
Oh, it's a sexy Game of Thrones shirt, not to be confused with the nerdy ones. I like what you've done there, sir. Very nice move.
Do you like what I've done here?
Ooh, nice. That's a nice highball glass. Here,
isn't that a fancy, snazzy drink?
See, look what I got here. If you can see it, I've got my Sin City Las Vegas brewery.
I like it.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
So, bottoms up, sir. Bottoms up. That's a good drink.
You know what? Jamie didn't like it so much because it's a little heavy on the tequila. It's 2 ounces, but I think it's pretty fucking good, dude.
So here's what I did. I just sweetened it up a little bit more with the orange. So I used the orange juice to flavor to taste there, because it's not very specific.
Yeah, it just says a dash. What the fuck is a dash? You know what I mean?
I did it without orange juice and then took a sip, and I'm like, that's pretty rough. That's strong.
I don't even like that. And I'm a boozy guy.
Yeah, then I've been playing around with the orange juice amount, and I think the orange juice amount really makes or breaks the drink as far as the overwhelming tequila, because it's not a shot of tequila. It's almost a shot and a half of tequila, but with another couple ounces of liqueur, so
and then more liqueur,
it is a strong drink. It is not a pussy drink.
And just so the Stiffies know, I'm sure our loyal followers know from Instagram and Facebook that today we are having the Devil's Punch, which is a goddamn good drink, guys. And just to break it down real quick, and I'm gonna piggyback off that too. What I decided to do is, dude, I literally just add the same 1 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 ounce, 1 ounce of triple sec, 1 ounce of limoncello, and 1 ounce of sour mix, and 1 ounce, why not, of orange juice. And I found that to be perfect. You know what I mean? I thought that was a perfect blend.
Yeah, I went real specific with that recipe you sent me, like right down to the tenth of an ounce, like real specific.
Yeah.
And I just added whatever I have come to know is the right amount of orange juice for the way that I like it. And it's a fantastic drink. It's a great punch drink. It's a great tequila drink, just in general.
It's it rivals a margarita, if you ask me, dude. It's a good one. I really like it. I don't know what it is about me, dude. I was talking to Jamie about this yesterday. I really like orange juice like cocktails, dude. I love the Harvey Wallbanger. I like screwdrivers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, when I had this one, I was like, God damn it. And that's what I did on my second round. My first one, like I did just like you. I asked Jamie, I was like, what the fuck is a dash of orange juice? And she's like, literally bloop, like that. And I was like, okay. And then we both had it. And she's like, that's way too much tequila. I was like, I kind of agree with you. It's a little overpowering. So my next one, I literally just did 1 ounce of orange juice like I did with the other 3 parts that were 1 ounce. And I was like, perfect. Tits. I don't need to bring down the tequila, raise up the orange juice a little bit.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Exactly. Do not do yourself a disservice by making it weaker. Just make it heavier with the mixer. But so the Stiffies know here, the Devil's Punch, guys. And this is legit. Just so you guys know, there's a lot of, I've noticed this too, Bob, and I decided now this is line in the sand for me. If it's in the bartender black book, that's the goddamn recipe that's supposed to be made. There may be variations, but it's in the bartender black book. I'm going with it. And as according to the bartender black book, I have the 9th edition, though, not the 10th. This is 2 ounces of Blanco tequila, 1 ounce of orange liqueur, aka triple sec, 1 ounce of limoncello. Guys, if you haven't had limoncello, it is fucking delicious. Jamie said in her time in Italy, by the way, too, like there's nothing better than to get that shit ice cold out of the fridge and just have it on ice, dude, like limoncello by itself.
I could see that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Italians all around just fucking drinking limoncello, fucking, smoking cigarettes, doing their thing.
Well, it's as strong as wine.
Yeah, dude, it's 30%. It's stronger than wine. I mean, this is pretty heavy. Like, well, there's variations. It goes from 27 to 30%. Of course, my drunk ass had to get one that was 30%. But 1 ounce of limoncello, 1 ounce of sour mix, and then it says a dash of OJ. Now, here, guys, if you like strong tequila flavored drinks and you really want to taste the tequila, go with a dash. Just do a little splash. Both Bob and I seem to like a little bit heavier on the OJ, but not too much. I wouldn't say more than 1 ounce of OJ too. And then my favorite, I'm not one for stir drinks. I love using that fucking shaker, dude.
Oh yeah, I shook mine for sure.
Oh, I shook it like a fucking son of a bitch, like fucking Michael J. Fox. I
shake
that shit.
Almost all drinks, even the ones that call for stirring. No, I like mine shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, and then just pour it over a nice highball glass full of ice, dude. And God, and that's the other thing. It's become now very ritualistic. When you do the shaker, you're getting it in there, getting fucking nuts with it, dude, and then you pour it in. That nice, beautiful finished product, I get a smile on my face. It's just like, it's almost like the Grinch, like on the cartoon, you get that really big smile that's almost too big for my face. I get really happy with it.
So I will tell you this, our favorite Aussie YouTube bartender, the large bartender guy, I forget his name.
I love that guy.
I have adopted his shaking style to where it's high, low shake. Yes, I've adopted it. I think it's fantastic.
It's really interesting that you said that, because when I first watched one of his videos, I was like, man, that guy's got some shaking skills, dude. That's the first thing I said. I was like, God damn, I want to shake like that guy. And yeah, no, I do the same thing. I noticed myself when they were freaking out. Jamie's looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? Just like, I need to shake this drink.
Yeah, just wait till the bottles start flipping.
Yeah, but I'm shaking it like somebody at Home Depot looking to like mix up their paint for them. That'd be pretty funny if they did that at Home Depot. You're all like, yeah, can I get this periwinkle blue? They're all, yeah. Fucking shake it.
So I will say this, that the Devil's Punch is probably not something that you can just go to your local dive bar and ask for. The likelihood of them having the limoncello is probably not very high. So if you do get one, it's going to be basically a tequila sour with triple sec. So
I would say your best bet is going to like more of like an Italian wine bar type pizzeria deal. They'll probably have the limoncello back
Yeah,
there
like
because
Trambinos or something.
right. Because another thing that Jamie told me to what makes sense is it's also an after dinner drink, like a shot at limoncello. You
Yeah,
know, a lot of
that makes
people
sense.
do
Like a
that.
dessert drink.
Yeah. So after they eat and everything. So I bet like a fancy Italian restaurant, you could probably get one and they'd be like, you know your shit. You know what I mean? Like, let me get a limoncello, this and that. But you're right. I wouldn't go order it from a sports bar and expect much. You know what I mean?
No, but it's definitely something that's awesome to have at your home bar, as many of these drinks are. So if someone comes over just to offer them, hey, would you like to try a limoncello? What is it? It's based or a devil's punch. Oh, it's basically a screwdriver with limoncello.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that sounds great. I like screwdrivers. A lot of people do. So it's great that this is another great drink to add to the repertoire and add to the bar. So
it felt like it found its home at the bar too. When I brought the limoncello home yesterday, I was like, and you go right here. Oh, you look like you're so happy next to the Galliano and next to the Benedictine. I have all the Italian liqueurs all lined up next to each other. I'm getting kind of OCD with it.
Yeah, I've now, so I was just like holding the stuff on the top of my fridge, keep it away from my 13-year-old. But
yeah, I don't know if that's really like working for you, but hopefully.
But so then I brought in a bookshelf to the kitchen and started like using that. Oh, just kind of the overflow is the top shelf of the bookshelf there. No, now it's top of the fridge, top of the shelf of the bookshelf, and now second shelf of the bookshelf. It's expanding. I really just need to like get a new house that has a bar.
Well, here's the other thing. We talked about this too, and a buddy of mine here, as you know, used to have one too. You need to just get like a like what is that? Like the
bar cart?
Yeah, like a bar cart, dude. He had a really nice bar cart downstairs, dude, in his like, kind of entertainment room. And it was legit, dude. I mean, the countertop space on the actual bar cart itself was enough for all your kind of like, you could have your cocktail kit up there, you know what I mean? The mixer, like all that kind of stuff. And then the cabinets open up like kind of like not like a lazy Susan, but they open up and they've got like shelving on the doors and on the inside. So you could literally just stick all kinds of liqueurs and boozes everywhere. You could probably fit like a good 50, 60 bottles of shit in there if you really had it topped off. So that might need to go up on your notch past
the grill.
Yeah, past the grill. I think it's a little bit more pressing because your drinking will not slow down in the wintertime. It's just going to change styles, bro. You're going to have some more kind of hottie toddies, during the winter and warm your gut a little bit. You know what I mean? Huh?
Man, I'll tell you what.
It's a damn good drink, isn't it?
It's a great drink, and it's just not what you expect from tequila. Speaking of tequila, this was my first little encounter with the Kirkland's tequila. That is a smooth, fine-tasting tequila right there, my friend.
Dude, it's in the catalog over here at the Castle Nova house. I'll tell you that, man. I mean, say what you will, bro, but what is it? It's not even over $20 for a goddamn handle.
$19.99, right?
Yeah, $19.99 for a handle of very high quality Blanco tequila, dude. You can't go wrong with this shit, dude. So no, I agree, hands down. And then I think we talked about last week for our Manhattans. I didn't get the Crown. I got the fucking Costco Canadian whiskey that honestly tastes just like fucking Crown Royal for $18.99 versus like $36.99 for the fucking handle of Crown. So I even bought stock in Costco, and I think that was one of my deciding factors. Like, wow, their alcohol purchasing department.
I'm gonna single-handedly make this go up.
I was like, I'm gonna go in there and talk to their alcohol purchasers. Like, look, guys, I got stake in this now. Okay, so keep your game up. Okay, you're doing a great job. We're all counting on you. You know what I mean?
I'm now a stockholder. I deserve my 2 cents at our annual meeting. Guys, and by for real.
Yeah, and by that,
you to dip in to some Kirkland's 12-year-old Scotch. Okay, I need single malt.
They do have a single malt Kirkland brand. I haven't bit the bullet on that because honestly, bro, I'm a Scotchy snob, dude. But I'm also cheap at the end of the day. So when the blended for $17.99 is so damn good, why do I go $34.99 for the single malt?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So for the occasion, like when we hit like our 5,000th download, or whatever, when you hit a milestone, you want to dip into that medium shelf booze instead of the bottom shelf stuff.
It was more of a rhetorical question, Bob. Okay. I know why I should spend the money. I'm just making excuses on why I shouldn't. But honestly, I procrastinated horribly. I told you my favorite booze was at Costco for a limited time only. They had Redbreast there for like $42.99. It's normally like $65. I walked by it for a couple of weeks, like, I need to get that. I need to get that. And you know how Costco is. And I walked by, I was like, it's gone. Oh, it's so gone. Because that's like my special occasion thing. We just get out, have a couple of neat shots of that, a couple of 3-finger fucking glasses of some good Redbreast single pot stilled Irish whiskey. Oh.
Dude, it doesn't even take a $40 bottle of whiskey for me. I can walk by and look and be like, where's the bacon this week? Where's the potato salad this week?
Seriously.
Damn it, Costco. You're really letting me down.
Well, I normally every week I get, their Vita Rains or whatever, their version of like vitamin waters. I get the Vita Rain Zeros every week. I went in there yesterday. They're sold out. They weren't in there. I was like, your own fucking product. I get angry because it's even their own Kirtland shit sometimes. It's like, I'm like, oh, I love this shit. It's go-to. And then it's nowhere in the store. I was like, that's really a bummer.
Yeah, I've gone a couple of months without having the Canadian whiskey available. I've never seen the Scotch not available.
Once. I think I told you this. Remember, I went in there once and they were sold out. And I was like, do I go to another Costco? I just stood there for a while, kind of like a lost puppy in the store. They're all, sir, can I help you? It's like, Scotch. It's like, what's wrong with this guy? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands. Sad stuff. But anyways, off of Costco's tip for just a minute here, we've got a dandy of a it's a conspiracy topic, but beyond a conspiracy topic, it's a fucking fascinating topic in general. And I love this. We talked about this. We're circling the wagons here, and we're realizing we're getting reintroduced to other key people and other conspiracies that we've talked about. We've got Travis Taylor. We've got George Knapp. We got Jeremy Corbell. Like all these people start coming back into the fold here as we're circling around. It's interesting stuff.
Did you catch the lady that came in?
Oh my God.
Did you recognize her?
I didn't recognize her.
She's the ufologist from Albuquerque that frequents the Ancient Aliens series.
Well, you know what's funny? Like when she came on, like I was just screaming because she's saying everything everybody knows. I'm like, fraud! It's like, get out of here. She brought no value to the documentary, like zero, dude. It's like,
it was just facial recognition.
And it was the millionaire guy that wanted to bring somebody in that was supposedly an expert in cattle mutilation. She's like, yeah, she's our the world-renowned expert in cattle mutilation because she's an investigative journalist that has gone on site to where there's been a few cattle mutilations. So how the fuck does that make her? Anyways, we'll get into it a little bit more, but guys, we are diving in. And Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was brand new to you, right?
I'd never heard of it before you brought it up, and I didn't even know anything about it. As soon as I saw the topic in our notes in our meeting, I was just like, let's do that one.
Yeah.
I don't even care what it is. Let's just do it. It sounds fascinating.
That's actually a pretty cool cool little story there because me and Bob met on Tuesday. We meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're throwing out topics and we had to kind of cut it short. You had a long day, what have you. We're just like, all right, enough talking to each other. Honestly, guys, we can't put up with each other as much as we act like we like each other. So we just kind of cut it short.
I wasn't drunk enough for an extended conversation. It was just like a quickie. It was a sixer. It was like a nooner, but it was a sixer.
Yeah. I was like, I'm too sober to listen to your annoying ass voice right now, Scott. Let's go. But so basically what I did is after we got off the phone, I threw up like 3 different ideas for a conspiracy topic. We regrouped on Thursday. Bob looks at the notes. He's like, that one, let's go right away. Don't even care what it's about. Sounds awesome. I think I gave you a little snippet about it. But anyways, guys, and this was new to me prior to me hearing a 3-part podcast series about it about a year ago. But we're talking about Skinwalker Ranch today. And this is a very, 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 very interesting topic. And the history and the lore of this area goes back hundreds of years, which is pretty cool. And to give people a little bit of background here, this is basically a remote part of northeastern Utah. And what is it? Unitah or something like that, Unitah Basin, and the Indian reservation up there is the Utes, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is an area up there. There's a property, and even more so than the property, which is very interesting that the property lies right on what they call Skinwalker Ridge. And what's interesting about this, you want to take it back to the beginning of basically how the whole conspiracy, the lore, the superstition started, is the Ute Indians and the Navajo Indians used to be very, very friendly. And of course, Bob, you know, there's a lot of Navajos in your area, also my area. So in the Southwest, probably the two biggest Indian tribes from Utah to New Mexico were very friendly. They did a lot of trading, not hostile at all, which can be kind of rare for some Indian tribes from tribe to tribes. However, when American settlers started settling in the Western United States, especially in the Rocky Mountain region, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, the Americans, meaning the colonists really, and the people from the East, they brought in a lot of American soldiers to help protect the new comers, the American settlers of this area. At that time, the Ute tribe, they decided to go ahead and, figuratively speaking, stab the Navajos in the back, and they joined forces with the American soldiers and kind of teamed up on going after the Navajo. What happened very shortly thereafter is a lot of Navajo tribesmen were put into slavery, even for the Utes. So obviously this created some pretty bad blood. So as lore goes, the Navajos put a curse on this land. And this is basically kind of the beginning of the Ute territory, right? And basically put a curse, and they put a curse on there, pretty much bringing skinwalkers to this area, basically to plague and trouble these people for the rest of time. So that's kind of where this started, guys. Bob, did you get a chance to research into skinwalkers and that actual kind of lore there at all?
Not a whole lot, just outside of what I already have known about skinwalkers. Just about how some medicine men are known to be skinwalkers, and holy men in Indians, and they're they're supposed to be able to transform into different beings,
Yes.
and get accomplished whatever they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, long short there, you pretty much summed it up. They're basically purposely evil witches, right, of the Navajo tribe that have the ability to shapeshift, and they're always out to do harm. These are not good entities at all. So they're basically, I guess, the equation of demons for the Judeo-Christian kind of religion, right? These are the very malicious, horrible entities that want to do nothing but create harm, suffering, and what have you. So pretty big deal, obviously, for the Navajos to do a little mumbo jumbo, so to speak, and say, you guys are cursed from here on out. And that's kind of how everything starts. Outside of this, you fast forward to about 1900, and that's when American settlers really start having a little bit more presence in this area in Skinwalker Ranch. And this is where the first owners, I think, I want to say, I'm going to have to actually check just real quick, but yeah, Kenneth and Edith Myers, they're the first owners of the ranch at 1934 up till 1994. All kinds of shit happens throughout that time, but they kind of keep it under control. But I'll just say, during this time period, the Native Americans refuse to go on this property. It's fucking cursed. It's evil. And there's a lot of sightings by the Native Americans, local settlers, hearing weird noises, seeing werewolf-like entities and things like this. There's a lot of cattle mutilations and things like that. And this is prior to where it all really gets really crazy, right? But already kind of a red flag, if you ask me, that the Native Americans won't even step foot on this fucking property. Bob, I'll let you take it from there. I've been talking to you.
Yeah, and a lot of interesting things are going on with this property, besides just the history of the property, with the curse, and the Native American histories that are going on here. There's a lot of anomalies that happen on this property. So we were introduced to a docu-series from history where our good friend of the show, Dr. Travis Taylor, astrophysicist,
from Huntsville, Alabama, baby.
Right?
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Once again, this guy shows up in another great, docu-series. And really, he went to do science. He wanted to capture data. He wanted to take a look and be very analytical. And he came to this ranch with a very skeptical scientific mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But then immediately, right away, as soon as they start putting instruments on this land and they started recording different things, we're talking about radio frequencies, light capturing, ray capturing,
Electromagnetic fields, you name it.
right, magnetism, really just the gamut of everything that you could try to record as far as data goes. And they found interesting things right away. As soon as they get there, they put a thermal camera up on Skinwalker Ridge.
Yeah.
Right. And they're looking at this thermal camera, and there is this beam of light, this beam. I don't even, like a ray, and not even so much of a beam. It's a pretty wide but concentrated and evenly dispersed beam shooting right out off the planet in one direction, and you can't see it unless you're looking at a thermal camera, and then you can see it for the heat difference that it's projecting out there, which might be radioactive, causing that heat difference or whatever it is. But it's clear as day that you can see it. This is not something that is subtle. A very bright difference in temperature and a concentrated ray going directly off the planet, which was like the very first thing. And then at that point, it's like you set the beer down. It's like, wait a minute, the fuck has just happened there, right?
Well, hold on. That's where I take one more big swig and then sit it down and be like, okay, what the fuck just happened? But yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because up until that point, I'm sort of watching this like, this is just going to be a bunch of drama, reality TV nonsense. It was anything but. They captured significant data for this ranch beyond the beam. They captured gamma rays all along the property that seemed to be pointed. In fact, when they went and they found the gamma rays and where they were at, they were all pointed, and they reached a specific point in the sky from their measurements, right? Which was they estimated about 1,000 feet up was where they all kind of intersected, and where they were all pointing to. Which, if you know anything about how a satellite dish works, that's very similar.
Sure the Stiffies are experts. So
right. So it all pointed up to where you could see just kind of from this basin of the property that, it all pointed up. So what they did is they went and they set up some cameras, and they're all outside, and they wanted to launch some rockets that were going to capture some data too on the way down. And they set up these rockets to kind of hit that point where everything was kind of pointed, right?
Basically try to find the origin of where this energy was coming from. There was an energy force, and for a while they couldn't really tell, right? It's like, is it coming from under the ground? Is it coming from the ground? Is it coming from above the ground? Is it from both? But they did know there was a concentration of a lot of radioactive energy, microwave energy, whatever. And the one thing I thought was really interesting, Bob, too, is a lot of what they picked up on their Geiger meters and all this different stuff is like, yeah, this can be normal, but not in this fucking area. They didn't see a fucking power, cell phone tower anywhere. There's no technology. So the amount of shit just in general that they were able to pick up from the ground and above the ranch was highly an anomaly. You know what I mean? Because this is something that it'd be normal if they were literally in the middle of a fucking I don't know, dude, literally a bunch of TV towers and shit like that, and radio towers. It was very odd in general, just that they picked up so much different types of radiation and frequencies. I mean, a lot of guys' cell phones died, batteries would die, shit wouldn't work, stuff like that too.
So the electromagnetic energy specific around the property was insane. He said that it's borderline dangerous for living organisms, just the amount of electromagnetic energy, right? And in fact, when they went to launch a drone, they were flying the drone or whatever, and then they took it to a certain spot on the property, the drone would no longer work.
Yeah, Homestead 2 is where everything failed, man.
Right, it just stopped working there because the electromagnetic energy was so long that it disrupted the circuitry of it was a very expensive drone, right?
Oh, dude, they brought a professional, and I just got to say this real quick. Why does the drone operator specialist have to look like Hulk Hogan almost when he came out there? That dude was buffer than fucking shit. He's like popping through his shirt. I'm like, that guy's a drone specialist? And then he started talking. I thought he would just be like, oh, yeah, brother. Just talk crazy.
Uh,
My drones are the fucking shit, baby. Yeah. But I was like, wow, that guy's super buff. It's crazy. But no, it's crazy, man, because not only that, they also brought in, who was the other guy that had, it wasn't the drilling equipment, but there was another guy he brought. You remember the guy?
They were doing the ground penetration radar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. To see what was under there. Right.
Right.
And even that guy was like, and again, this could be staged. Again, I have to put on my, a little bit of a hat there and be like, hey, let's step back here, Scott. I know this is pretty exciting. There's a lot of weird things here that cannot be explained by scientists and experts. But I thought it was very interesting, too, that not only did cell phones, do that crazy shit where one guy's cell phone is like buttons fucking going through his pictures.
Oh, so that was the electromagnetic energy fucking with the digitizer on his phone. That's why it looked like he was pressing a bunch of buttons, because the digitizer was actually being triggered by something.
Yeah, but anyways, the guy that came in to look through the ground or whatever and basically just kind of get pictures, and you bounce something off that, right? You go into there and it bounces off and it sees like anything that's an obstruction, right? So it could be a hole, it could be a tunnel, it could be,
That's like sonar.
Yeah, it's like sonar pretty much for the ground. But that guy brought in his heavy equipment, said he had charged that shit all the night before. He pulls out his first one. It's already like red dead. He can't even use it. So he has one more that he charged all night, and it's already down to yellow, where he's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just run it till it's dead. But that's the other interesting too. This place would, again, very rural ranch in the middle of fucking nowhere in Native American country. And all of a sudden it's got fucking, it seems like you're in this huge metropolis, right? With all these interferences and shit like that going on and killing all kinds of high-tech equipment. Very interesting just in general that kept happening.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, kind of circling back to their little rocket test, right? So they fire off a rocket up to the point where they're
trying to get
microwaves kind of converge about 1,000 feet up on the ranch. And then they shoot a rocket up there to that point, and immediately, like an orb pops into the sky. And that this is seen by all of the witnesses there watching the rocket, and it's captured on video. Yeah. This orb pops up for about 10 seconds, just kind of chilling there in the sky. It doesn't really move. It just kind of sits there and glistens, and then the rocket, does its parachute thing and starts coming back down, and the orb goes away, just vanishes after 10 seconds. And so they're like, you guys all saw that, right? Because they're all like, what the hell is that?
Everybody saw it. And these are not, and I'll take it back just for a minute here. Guys, the whole reason why these guys are here, and this is 2019 when this crew's here. Why the reason they're there is going back to the early 90s, 94 to 96. There was a family, Terry and Gwen Sherman. They're the ones that prompted scientists to come out there for the first round in the late 90s and early 2000s, is because they would see shit like this all the time. All the fucking time, you know what I mean? But they're crackpots. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever, you guys are making it up, blah, 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 blah. Here we are with a legit group of skeptical scientists, astrophysicists, fucking experts in all these fields that are all seeing the same thing. And again, it's caught on video and it's on History Channel, for Christ's sakes, which is so amazing, dude, because one thing that I had to highlight here, you remember we talked about this earlier when the Department of Defense came out with the Navy videos, right? Yeah. And something that Taylor said, which I thought was very interesting, is the video they looked at this orb. He looked at it. He said, look at it really closely. He's like, stop right there. You see that weird little aura around it? The same aura, very, very, very specific type of aura around this thing. It's almost like what he said. His theory is it was the temperature difference, right? Created this weird little aura around it. Yeah,
kind of like the ice ring around the moon.
Yeah. And he said those are apparent in all the fucking Department of Defense videos of legit UFO sightings and other sightings that they have on of camera or video from orbs being caught up in that area. So it's almost like, hey, this is legit by the military, and we're seeing the same fucking aura, the same kind of legit signature of heat and everything and energy transfer around this fucking thing. That's fucking nuts. I mean, literally, for somebody like him to come up there, and we're talking about Travis Taylor, the astrophysicist from Huntsville, Alabama, he's very, very skeptical coming up there, and he literally prompts to see the first UFO legit sighting he's ever seen. Fucking nuts.
then they started reconvening and grabbing like I said, they were doing tests with the rocket, right? So they're getting the equipment of the rocket, and he's like, let's launch another one in the same spot, right? So they set it all up, and they go and they launch another one in the exact same spot, and no shit, the same fucking orb comes out for another 10 seconds, and they see it for the second time, all of them, and it's caught on camera again.
It's almost like they're literally poking at it with a stick. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, if, like, you know, metaphorically speaking, everything. It's like they're getting up there and they're like, hey, come on, what are you doing? And you're like, well, there it is. Let's do that again. But. And honestly, too, I thought this yesterday. I watched it. I was like, hey, these are a bunch of guys and they're like, let's just face it, 40s, 50s, or whatever. You know, a lot of them is like, you know what? Even if we don't have to, let's launch another fucking rocket. This is fucking fun. You know?
Right.
I was like, how cool is this to be launching rockets in the middle of the desert too? But no, I thought that was very interesting. That literally, it was like a disturbance of, I'll call it the access of this energy field, right? Nuts, man, how that literally prompted this orb. And again, when we say orb, it's an unidentified flying fucking object that we have no idea why it's there, who's manning it, or its intentions, which very interesting, man. But there's a lot more to this, Bob.
I just want to digress into a personal story once.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. Pillow talk with Bobby.
So there's this huge hill outside of a town south of Albuquerque, and growing.
We're talking about Belen.
We're talking about Los Lunas.
Oh, Los Lunas. Okay.
So I went to school in Belen, and
that's why I threw that out there.
We were rivals with Los Lunas, right? So it's my junior year, and we're like, getting tanked, and we're like, let's
off Gatorade.
Yes, we drank so much of it, it gave us sugar highs. So we're like, let's go up to the top of Los Lunas Hill and change the LL around up there, and let's just leave a giant B and piss everyone off.
Ooh, that's a good school rivalry thing.
There's like a good dozen of us, right? So we're all walking up there, and we go up there with a 5-gallon bucket of white paint. We reorganize everything at like 1 a.m. by moonlight, right? And then we get all this done. No flashlights because we can't like let everyone know we're up there. And so we do it, right? Magnificent B, right? Perfect. So bottom line is we're done. We're walking back to the car. We just got down from the hill, and we're now traversing the desert in the middle of the night, where then we see 3 orbs pop down in the sky, and they start literally covering miles and miles of sky in milliseconds, and they just start dancing around, following each other, and then they just take off one after the other away from the earth and disappear and get smaller, and they're gone. Where this all happened within about maybe 20 to 30 seconds.
Oh yeah,
they were all out there. So the orb thing really kind of, rang a little close to home for me when I was listening to that, because it is something up until that night I'd never seen. I've never seen since, but sure. I have seen it, right? And it was all of us, like a dozen of us, all watching these 3 orbs, just like that group was all watching those. So just kind of, I like to interject in my personal stories. Occasionally.
No, it's great that you said that too, because it is really, it's not interesting to me. It seems not even coincidental, but the Southwest and I'll even group in Utah to the Southwest. For some odd reason, like the Southwest kind of reaches high up into this weird, even parts of Idaho have the same terrain, this high desert terrain. You know what I mean? That like Colorado is kind of a little bit of an anomaly in the whole thing. I think it like kind of skips it a little bit, but a lot of Nevada, Utah, Idaho, New Mexico, they all have like the same terrain. It seems like the same landscape, very clear skies at night to where you can see shit like this. And believe it or not, Jamie's told me this story, and she told me again last night too, that her and her dad also saw an orb. And she brought it up specifically, with the cow that tipped over and died, that quick little thing or whatever. They talked about the motions that it made and how it come in. And like what they talked about, remember what Travis said on that one is literally, if you just go by assumptions, that traveled at the speed of a fucking bullet, which is unlike anything we know.
Well, you saw it skip too in between the frames of that camera.
And the frames were like a 30 or 15th of a second or 20 something of a second, like super
Very
fast.
fast, yeah.
Very fast. It was like frame by frame. It was like, boom, pew, like right over the cow, you know, but she said that her and her dad saw that one night, and it legit stands by it, where they're just outside watching the sky, and he brought it to her attention. And it was that very quick, boom, bam, fucking gone, you know, but like just enough where you're like, whoa, did that really just happen? And she swears by it. I don't discredit her at all, because I'm not saying wholeheartedly that I believe there's aliens flying around in a lot of these things. I don't know, because I don't have that proof. But it's very hard to discredit some of these very legit videos by reputable people, including yourself, Bob.
Well,
but
it doesn't have to be. So traditionally, people think of aliens as they came from like Alpha Centauri or whatever, and they traversed several light years of space to come visit us at Earth. It's maybe that's one thing that it could possibly be, but there's other things that it could possibly be. It could be the multiverse thing. It could be the parallel universe thing, to where a few of these civilizations that live in parallel universes may just have figured out how to transverse different universes, and that's how they get here. When they were here, quote, all the time, they were just going into different dimensions of that parallel universe, and to us it's perceived as fucking actual travel, but to them it's just here, and then they're just here and they're gone. They're not really leaving anywhere. They're just leaving this dimension, this version of this universe. So there's that possibility too.
There's a lot of possibilities. And I want to take it back a little bit here and talk about not the original, but the owners of this ranch that really brought this to light. I mean, again, the Shermans, right? The Sherman Ranch is what they called it. But, and there's some theories here, but just to wrap it up very quickly here, when these people bought this place in 1994, I thought it was very interesting, and I have it written down, the exact language too, but the clause in the real estate contract, and we'll talk about this too, because it has to do with the documentary we watched too. No digging on the land without prior warning to the previous owner. That's a very odd thing to put in a fucking contract for real estate, don't you think? No,
hey
no
guy,
digging.
I'm gonna go dig a well over here.
No, don't do it. Right. So, but it's crazy too, because during their time there, there was poltergeist activities. I have to talk about that real quickly here, because that's again, this might be more of the lore of the Skinwalker type deal. You know, I don't know, but there's things where the wife, Gwen, would come home, bring groceries home, put them all in the cabinets. And this is on Homestead 1, you know, like the main living establishment. Put everything away, go into the other room for a minute, come back, all the groceries are back on the counter again. Fucking cabinets would swing open, shit. This is literally like the movie like Poltergeist and shit like that. So a lot of that shit happens. Furthermore, both the husband and the wife and the son would see things, move locations outside, because he was a cattle breeder. So he did a lot of work outside. There was like, what's the equipment to like drive in like fence post and shit like
the
that?
post hole diggers.
They're like 75, 80 pounds, something like that, pretty heavy. Like, but there's a story where that was fucking not only just moved, but it was up in a fucking tree, like fucking 20 feet ahead of, you know, like above them or whatever. They're like, thought their son was fucking around with them. I was like, yeah, let's see him do that as a teenager and shit like that. And then of course you have the multiple sightings of werewolf, like 8-foot tall, dark entities in the night that would be malicious and fucking go crazy and kill fucking other animals, their dogs. That was one of the last things too. He had 3 dogs that went and chased a orb that was floating around. They went out there to chase it, and he tried to follow it. He heard like the screech, you know what I mean, of a dog basically being put down or whatever. And one of his dogs is completely mutilated when he gets there. Seeing multiple sightings of like different kind of weird crafts or whatever. And it's interesting. I bring this all up because, yeah, obviously this got into the newspaper by our buddy, Mr. George Knapp. He's the one that wrote the articles. And then that's when Bob Bigelow purchased it, and he was a billionaire that was a hardcore paranormal enthusiast and alien enthusiast. And that's when they brought in NADS. Is it NIDS? No, it's NIDS. NADS. NIDS, which is what is it? Do you remember?
No.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, Bob. This is when they brought in the first legitimate like team of scientists, but it also
okay, the government team.
Yeah, it's NIDS, and it's the National Institute of Discovery Science. So after this guy literally there's so many cattle mutilations. And again, he was a cattle breeder. So it was like really hurting his business and all this other crazy shit that happened to his family and his wife and all these weird paranormal kind of things and seeing all these weird fucking UFOs. Finally just sells his place. 200 grand. He's like, you know what? Just fucking take it, you billionaire. I need a life to live. However, this guy, Terry Sherman, moves 25 miles away, keeps his family at a different ranch and stays as ranch manager or whatever it is, like basically like the groundskeeper or whatever, so he can continue to like prod and poke into what the fuck is going on. Long short here, the government, they work on this place for a good 8 to 10 years. They see stuff, but it's all circumstantial shit. They see it. They never can quite document anything that they see. They basically don't give anything away, I guess, to the public in general. But the one thing that they brought up on the doc that we watched too is there's a lot of records that are completely sealed from their work there, completely sealed. Like they haven't still given it up. And one of the things that I think is very interesting is they had those watchtowers, remember? And they had the fenced out areas where they would put cattle in there and say, hey, you know what? So there's been so many cattle mutilations here. We're going to provoke it. You know what I mean? We're going to put cattle in there and we're going to fucking film this shit, take pictures of it. All of that is sealed, confidential fucking data still to this day, which I think is pretty interesting. But we fast forward to all the shit that happened in the doc that we watched. And the reason I bring this all up is, yeah, that's the catalyst for everything. But all this shit that they experienced, meaning the Sherman family, when they're on the ranch they were only there for 18 months, to be honest with you, from 94 to 96. But is this them seeing a bunch of paranormal, extraterrestrial, beyond spiritual type shit? Or are these people getting fucking radiation poisoning and getting sick and getting delusional and having fucking hallucinatory fucking episodes? That to me strikes a chord because these guys, Travis and his team, were only there for a couple of months. A couple of those guys got really fucking sick from radiation exposure, and they were literally only there for a few days, maybe a couple of weeks when this happened. So that's
and
crazy.
The interesting thing about that is like almost all of these anomalies or energy bursts that they're recording are intermittent. Mm-hmm. Right? They're not consistent at all. In fact, they go to Homestead too, and Travis himself was Dr. Taylor. Right? He goes in there. There's this well, and it looks like, I don't know, it might be a sewage.
That's funny. The one guy's, don't open that, and he's like, like right away.
He's like, whatever. I don't care about your superstition. But he opens it, right, and it's like there's nothing in there, just some soiled, non-potable water, then that sort of stuff. He's like, it's just kind of like a septic tank, whatever. And then he goes in close, and he's like, I'm kind of getting a headache now. And he's like, let's get out of here. And he goes and he checks his. They're all wearing these bio monitoring devices,
basically like radiation, like what's going on with them. I can't remember the name of that device either. I apologize.
Yeah, so they're wearing these little wrist monitors, and the wrist monitor starts alerting him that he just got hit with ionized radiation.
Yeah, like almost a lethal dose.
Right, like a lot. And in fact, the next day he got these bumps on his face, and he went to the doctor and confirmed that it was radiation burns on his face. So they brought in a team that measures radiation hotspots, and they brought in a team with this equipment, and they go back to the exact same spot and they measure nothing. Nothing happened then.
And it was funny. I was talking to Jamie yesterday, and I know this, it seems far-fetched, but I was like, literally, did he open it like it was an old can of like stale beer or something like that? He got the radiation and then let it all out. And then like when they go to...
That's not how it works.
I know, but that, and in my mind, thinking like humorously, I was like, how did that fucking work? But what was really interesting about that, what his doctor said too, is like these burns, he had them right above his eye, under his eye, on his fucking hand. He's like, yeah, no, this is radiation like burn. We see the same thing when we're doing like chemotherapy or we're doing other radiation things in like a clinical setting. He's like, yeah, I can spot that a fucking mile away. I was like, dude, from opening a manhole, pretty much like a manhole cover, like just looking in for like what, he looked in there for probably like 2 seconds, 3 seconds before he moved away and said he's like got a headache. That's fucking intense, dude. So imagine, wind that back to the mid-90s by cattle ranchers, you know what I mean, that are literally in that element for 18 months. And what would happen to you, especially if you're not directly looking at it or whatever. I think there's, and that could be like turn into conspiracy away from the spiritual kind of like, paranormal realm into like, yeah, there's some shit going on here, but these people just might be fucking dope sick from radiation, like to put it in really layman's terms.
Yeah, and so what they saw was just some coyotes killing their cow. In their mind, could have been something much more sinister,
It was
especially
10,
in
11,
the
8 foot tall.
right,
Yeah.
especially at night when you're already scared and have a predisposition to believe in the lore of the land anyway, and then you're a little bit high on radiation or whatever. I could see how there's some things that could get misconstrued scientifically from that point on. uh, I mean, the bottom line is this ranch is awesome.
Dude, it literally, like we talked about, it could be like a portal, an interdimensional portal for extraterrestrial beings or whatever. But yeah, no, I'm on the same page. I would love to go there. Love to go.
Yeah, me too. So if you guys ever get a chance to look up the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, enjoy that rabbit hole, and you're welcome.
It's a damn good one, bro. In fact, I think this is the most research hours I put in on a topic. Like with the re-listening of that 3-part podcast and the doc that we watched, was close to about 10 hours of hardcore balls deep into Skinwalker Ranch yesterday and this morning.
Yeah, like let's get a Freedom of Information Act sent out for those NIDS records or whatever.
I think it's really interesting that they're still sealed and confidential too. Like, what did they find? They said it was inconclusive, and that's why they brought this other team up there. What the fuck did they find? I am very, very interested to know, because here's the other thing that struck me, and I'll kind of leave you with this. Going back to the Shermans, like the guy Terry Sherman, who was the guy that brought this all to light, that lived there for 18 months. He said, and this is a kind of a quote from him, and I'm paraphrasing, that either when he saw these entities or saw these orbs or these fucking, UFOs or whatever, it was either deathly terrifying or remarkably comfortable and almost like divine kind of like pleasure kind of thing. Which again, is he crazy or is there some crazy shit going on there? One or the other, man. But it's nuts, dude. So there's a lot to it, bro.
There's something going on there. It's not just a normal chunk of land.
Well, I say we vacation up there, you and me, Bob. We'll take the families up there. I'm sure they'll love that.
You want to go fishing?
This rivals the Tesla one for how much fun it was. And funny enough is that Travis Taylor was also on the doc for Tesla too.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor.
Yeah, love that guy, man. Really fucking fun topic.
What else has he done? It's gonna look up Dr. Taylor this week.
Yeah, honestly, to chase our next conspiracy, I might just look him up. He looks like he really enjoys this shit, And I do have to say this too, guys, because it's just to say fuck COVID one more time. We talked about this before the show. The documentary that we were watching was timestamped 2019. They started in May. They wrapped everything up in early October. And basically, as they're sitting at this round table with like the financier, the attorney general of Utah, there's some crazy shit going on here. The attorney general's like giving them their condoning what they're doing and saying, giving them stamp of approval, like just keep going after it, guys. This is good for the state. It's good for the country. Because, national security threats too, like this kind of shit. If they think there's UFOs, that could threaten everything. So they're like super stoked. They're going to get out there and do deeper research. And damn well they're not going to do it in November, December, or a little bit past that in like northeastern Utah that gets -30 at the peak of its winter. They were going to go back out there 2020, starting probably May or June, but they couldn't because of fucking COVID. So the story continues.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah, you fucking bitch of a son of a motherfucker. All right, I'm done.
So yeah, that was super fun. I agree. Think we should move on to our stiff truth.
We should definitely do that, Bob. I'm on the same page as you.
We wanted to talk about something that's
we're gonna piss some people off, Bob.
Maybe. But we want to talk about organized religion.
Bum, bum, bum.
Now, just like anything, there's pros and cons to everything. And with organized religion over the years, regardless of what organization and what religion we're looking at, it also has had its pros and cons. I mean, we'll look at the pros, right? Organized religion can be very productive to a sect of people and give people much drive and purpose, right?
I'll go ahead and just pick up on that real quick. If we're going to talk about pros, this might be a shorter list than the cons, but I'll say this. Absolutely. First and foremost, and I got to disclaim this, I'm not going to shit on anybody or judge anybody if they're religious. Not my bag. In fact, if you find solace in it, you find comfort in it, more power to you, because honestly, like you were just saying, religion can be very, very helpful for a lot of people in different stages of their life or whatever it means, right? If they find comfort in it because they need something to hope for, if they need to find purpose, if they need to find drive to be better people or whatever it is, I'm not going to discredit or downplay the importance that that plays in a lot of people's lives. So that's definitely a positive. Religion has turned the tide for a lot of addicted people, a lot of criminals, a lot of people just that aren't good people, right? They've ended up finding something, a new revival of themselves in religion. More power to you. Love that.
Yeah, and it's all walks of life, everywhere. Just society as in general. I think you see on an individual basis of a person involved in an organized religion, you see them govern their impulses and govern their humanity in a way that's beneficial to society, right?
Sure.
It's created a common ground, a set of morality to abide by. It can be very, very beneficial to individuals and the society that practices this organized religion. It really can.
Well, and I'll say this too. I'm going to go ahead and separate, if I can, two major, can we say starting points really, of like the two major types of religion, if you ask me. There's one that I think I have a little bit more negative to say about than the other, but I'll say the Eastern philosophy religions, meaning Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, things like that. I think there's a lot more positives there. Like regardless, you can just keep going further and further there, and there continues to be more positive. And then you have the Judeo-Christian religions, right? Muslims, Christians, and Jews. I think that one starts out, no matter how you do it, they start out great, meaning not their origin stories. That's pretty bloody and messy, but people that get into it, people that are hardcore into it. I do see from studying this stuff that a lot of Buddhists, Taoists, Hindus continue to be kind of very in tuned, like just deeply empathetic, like morally good people in general, based off of the religious writings and studies, than maybe the other side. I don't know. I'm just going out on a limb there, and that's what I've gotten from doing research on both ends of the table. I don't know how many wars have been called in the name of Buddhism, but I think they're few and far between the other end of the table.
Yeah, and I think most of them were defending themselves by a different aggressor.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Then trying to expand on their religion.
So there are some, but I'll say this though: the Eastern philosophy traditions aren't nearly as organized with a hierarchy, which I think is beautiful, right? And case in point here, there's a holy book for almost every religion. Now go over to Buddhism and Hinduism. There's not one book. In fact, if you look at the Hindu and Buddhist scriptures, it's a compilation of so many different writings from so many different.
I love a good compilation.
I know you do, Bob. Again, I know you do. You threw me off there a little bit, but what I'm saying is, it's like there's writings from so many different types of just different manuscripts that build into this idea. Whereas you flip on the other end of the table, the Judeo-Christian religions, Muslims, Jews, and Christians, they're very structured. They're very matter of fact. It's this fucking book or it's the fucking highway. You know what I mean?
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Hinduism dates back a lot farther than even Old Testament, right?
It's the first recorded religion. Absolutely.
Right. So we're looking at tens of thousands of years versus just thousands of years.
Sure. Yeah. But you're right. Absolutely. It's a little bit older. But yeah, no, I mean, so again, pros and cons of everything, but there's just less organization in the true sense of what we're going to be talking about. Because when we start talking about organized religion, we start talking about there being a very stringent kind of structured way of doing everything. You need to be a part of this clique pretty much, right? You have to do this and that and this and that. You're going to congregate in this establishment because you have to, this kind of stuff. So again, it's almost like a freedom of religion on one side and then organized religion. And there's kind of a blend when you get to Hinduism and Buddhism.
So pros, it can establish a code of ethics for an individual to live by, and collectively, for a group of people, it can establish that code of conduct for society, right?
Sure.
So the definite pro of organized religion. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but as far as true, we're going to dip into some cons. Right.
Already?
Yeah. As far as true holy wars, from my memory, it seems like there was a lot less wars in the name of God or your gods when the majority of the world believed in polytheism. Right? Once the monotheistic religion started to come, there was a lot more aggression towards other religions in the name of their god than there was, say, from the Greeks or the Romans that believed in several
many gods.
Am I wrong there?
No, I think that's a very correct assumption no matter what, because if you think about just that in general and what you're talking about, when you've got a god for the sun, the god for love, a god for death, the god for this, whatever, right? There's not this ultimate oneness of this is the absolute, you know what I mean? So if people don't agree with you, you're like, that's cool. You got your god for the sun, I got my god for water, whatever, right? But when you start getting into monotheisms, you do have an ultimate, I almost want to say righteousness, that your God is the God and any other God is blasphemy. You know what I mean? You're a heretic. You're blasphemous if you believe in anybody besides my absolute God. And this is where you start getting the butting of heads, so to speak. You know what I mean?
What was there really any monotheistic religions before 5,000 or 6,000 years BC, before the Old Testament times? Because I can't think off the top of my head if there were any.
No,
at that point.
We go back to even the start of recorded history with the Sumerians and shit like that. They were polytheistic too. So there was never a single god religion, a monotheistic religion, I don't think, until Judeo-Christian religion. So talking about Judaism, about 5,000 BC or so, I think is the very first one.
And that came in through the Roman Empire, right? Because they went from polytheistic to monotheistic during their rise and fall.
They converted to Christianity, but it took a long time because they were polytheistic too. I mean, the Greeks and Romans were very similar up until about the turn of BC to AD. That wasn't really a taken thing. And you have to go furthermore into after Jesus died and that era too, before it really becomes a thing that the Roman Empire implements. When they move the capital to Constantinople, right? And that whole shift is when that started to become the backbone of the Roman Empire. Before that, they were still a many god based fucking empire. So yeah, I have to say, just fishing around in my head, researching this enough for a good portion of my life, that the monotheistic religions didn't pop into play until Judeo-Christian era, I want to say, because then you have the three major monotheistic religions, right? That to modern day, you got Judaism, you got Christianity, and you got Muslims.
Right.
I think that those are the big three.
So as far as that goes, when we first started all this, I mean, George Carlin's one of our favorites. In general, but he said something, a couple of times throughout his career, where he said that, nothing has caused more devastation, war, and death than organized religion, right? But when we started looking into this, that's not true. It's just not. And it's weird that the dogma that comes with that statement, that everyone, it's a common belief.
Sure.
That more people have died in the name of God than have died in any other way. And really, it's like astoundingly small percentage compared to just the need for power.
Very true. And I will say this though, and we talked about it before the show, is there's the reason why that has such a such a pull for a lot of people, I think, is because there has been even a small percentage, called around 7%, right? There's been a percentage, and what's happened in that percentage has been very horrific, very bloody, that it is almost ironically comical that the root cause is religion, because religion is supposed to be wholesome, supposed to be empathetic, supposed to be objective and kind-hearted. You know, on a whole, I don't think any religion gets out there and says, beyond maybe, you know, no, I can actually say Satanism doesn't even fucking come out and say be mean to people. Like they all are preaching like love thy neighbor, be open, you know, this and that. But I think it's a small percentage is still too much of a percentage when you think about what's happened. When you think about the Crusades, when you think about the Spanish Inquisition, like these are literally massacres of people based off of not believing in the right God. Yikes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that even happened.
And you look at the 7% and you say, you know, well, that's not that much. Well, we're still talking about hundreds of millions of people, if not over 1 billion people that have been gruesomely killed in the name of somebody's God. So yes, I mean, it's not a very small number, and you're right. And I think a lot of it, the war, the religious wars, and why it's such a deep cut from modern times, and why people think of it as so devastating on humanity, is because they really didn't start happening until we were recording history. So there's a lot more history recorded of the monotheistic religious wars than there is previously, you know, back in ancient Roman times when religious wars could have been happening, but they weren't being recorded on fucking papyrus or whatever the hell. Right,
hey, good call, bro. Hey, that's good. That was the very first type of paper. Good for you. I like that. But I'll even say this too, even though it's not directly associated. Think about the Salem witch trials. That's a religious war on women in the colonies.
Yeah.
Let's face it, dude. The only reason that they faced so much persecution and death is because they were claimed as being demonic, heretic, fucking pieces of shit that were against their God. Right. So there's literally, and that's maybe fast forwarding to almost the most modern religious war, if you think about it. That just popped in my head thinking about like, oh yeah, fucking A, the whole Salem witch trials is all based off that. And this goes back all the way to the Spanish Inquisition, right? We talked about that earlier too. If you did not believe in the Roman Catholic kind of way of life and that sect of Christianity, you were a witch. You were a demonic possession or whatever it is, and you need to be killed.
You weren't human anymore.
Yeah, you need to be stuffed out. You were possessed, right, or whatever it is. But there's this extreme kind of point of view that a lot of highly religious people have in monotheist religions, where it kind of puts them on a pedestal and makes everybody else that doesn't have the exact same beliefs, like you just said, less than human. Hence, why even let them breathe air? Which is fucking hardcore.
That's a lot of the justification with the religious wars is thou shalt not kill. I think it's the first commandment, right?
It's definitely one of the top 10.
Right. And that's Old Testament. So then everything that stems off of the Old Testament from like 6,000 years ago, whether it be, you know, whether you're Jewish or Muslim or Christian, whatever you want to do, everything stems off of that, where thou shalt not kill. So the way that it's been justified for thousands of years is then finding a way to subhumanize your adversary, and then you're not killing a human, you're killing someone that's less than human, and then it's been okay, right? If you're a heathen, right, if you're a heretic, well, now we're going to deem you as less than, so we're going to create exemptions from the 10 commandments, and then we're going to go off that, even though no one ever said that there was any exemption.
Sure. Right? It's like, hey, you're going to kill somebody? Not cool. Wait, you're going to do it for me? Thumbs up. I'll look the other way.
Well, and even here in America, when you want to look at our religious freedoms and persecutions over the history of America, we came over here, in the 1600s to start colonizing. And a lot of the reasons we came over here was Protestants fleeing Catholicism, right? They wanted to practice their own religion and do their own thing, which is fine. America is built on being having a freedom of religion as long as you're monotheistic and you believe in Judeo-Christian fucking God. if not, then the freedom of religion is only in language only, because we will still, here in America, we will still treat you less than. We will still try to give you less recognition, less rights, even if it's done in a more, quote, civilized way these days. It is still done to this day.
Yeah. No,
again, that's a con of religion, in case we're unclear.
Just in case. Well, and like, I think
organized religion. Not
I think one of the big examples between two very familiar monotheistic religions that rooted from the same thing, just going nuts for almost a couple hundred years on each other, is the Crusades. I mean, that is literally Christians and Muslims going toe to toe from about 1000 to about almost 1300 AD. And there's multiple crusades too, which is crazy. But this is trying to reclaim the Holy Land, Jerusalem, right? One wants it for the Roman Catholics, one wants it for the Muslims. They both think they have rights on it, and this goes on forever. I think that caused more turmoil in that era than anything else that was going on. It's nuts, man. That, like, I don't know how many people died from the Crusades, but I'm sure is astronomical. Bob, do you have that in front of you?
It was tens to hundreds of millions.
It's just ridiculous, dude.
Well, and the war hasn't stopped.
No,
it still goes
not
on
over there.
now. No, it's still a fight over that land. It's still like it's pretty wild. I've never quite understood the Christian Muslim wars and fighting, because they're essentially fighting over the same God. It's just of how they want to interpret events over the last couple of thousand years and how they want to worship that God. And that's the core of it. But they teach their kids that it's so much more than that, but it's really not a whole lot more than that. And just the animus that is carried over through the centuries, it's just, well, these are my sworn enemies. Why? Well, because that's the way we've always done it.
Mm-hmm. Right. You really put it a great way there. That's the ironic part of this, right? These people are fighting to death over their religion, and they're all based off the same religion and the same God at the end of the day, right? They started to stem off into different ideologies of what it meant to be this way. And we laughed about it earlier when we were talking about this. You boil down the Muslim and the Christian thing, it's really just a debate over who is the Messiah. Right. It's a debate over, like, hey, the Christians, Jesus is the Messiah.
Because everyone agrees on, what is it, Abraham and Moses.
Abraham, Isaac, Moses, all the guys from the Old Testament. The Old Testament's legit for everybody. That's legit for everybody, including Judeo religion, right? But once you break off into the aftermath of past the Old Testament, you're either Muhammad is the prophet, or Jesus is, or if you're Judaism, he still hasn't come yet. We're still waiting for him. Right. And the Jews, they kind of stepped away from the fighting a little bit, to a certain extent. They had their own shit to deal with, like mass genocide by Hitler and shit like that, and like all kinds of stuff going on. They kind of stepped away a little bit. But it's interesting that the two people that had their prophets went toe to toe for so long, and they're still doing it, like you said. It's very, very ironic.
We just call that a point of the conversation when you agree to disagree and you move on. And honestly, the problem with a lot of the organized religions over the years and the hatred is because if there was fewer religions that were less about spreading the good word of your religion, and anyone that opposes you and wrong and must be converted, the way the Mormons think, then people would be better off. Seriously, though, there's just like every single religion is all about getting more people into their religion. And if it could just be, find your way, find your path, pick how you want to worship and who you want to worship or whatever, and go and live your life that way, that's fine. The problem that we've had with all these religious wars over the thousands of years is that that push to convert, that we must convert you or you will remain subhuman and you must die. And then that's still to some extent believed to this day.
Yeah, no, and what is it called? I'm drawing a blank for some reason. It's that nice devil's punch or what have you, but like missionaries, right? Just that whole concept in general to me is wrong. It's wrong. Like, I understand there's good-hearted nature originally, right? You go to third world countries, they're demolished. I honestly don't even believe in this, but that would be the thing, is like, go there, convert them to Christianity, make them see the light, help them out. These are savages, what have you, and spread the good word of God.
Again,
right?
acting on the pros list. We're just trying to see things in the pros list while just completely ignoring the cons list.
Exactly. But they're doing it because they think this is the right thing to do. Like, hey, I found God. I feel great. My God is the right God. I feel obligated to share it with people. You know how it is, dude. If you found a fucking great cocktail, dude, you'd tell me about it, right? You'd be like, dude, you got to try this. You wouldn't keep
You'd be like, what are you drinking? I'll never tell. But it's amazing.
See, that would be the right thing to do. But honestly, right? But then you take it to the level of, you literally are being pushy and you're imposing your beliefs on other people, whether they want it or not. You know what I mean? You've had fucking people at your door before, whether they be Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, whatever, right? You're like, dude, what are you doing? Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I know about your shit. It's batshit crazy. I don't want none. And they're like, no,
I don't know, but if those weeds in our backyard got pulled, I'd really hear you out.
Everybody's got their own price, right? You know what I'm saying? But no, again, the whole idea of missionary type work and everything, I guess it does have a positive, like, pro of the idea of it. But in actuality, all you're doing is you're imposing your views on other people because you believe that what you believe is better, right, and what they believe is nonsense. But you don't tell them that right out of the gate. But that's what you're doing. So it's horseshit. And this is what starts the friction, right? Because honestly, going back to the whole idea of organized religion, fantastic, bro. Something I learned from a good person is just that you don't need to go to church to be a good Christian. You just don't need to. It's nonsensical. I don't think God is out there with his looking little his grading scale.
I don't think Jesus went to church very often. I'm just going to throw that out there.
He did go to he did go to like prayer and stuff. Like he did a lot of things because he was Judeo, dude. I mean, like there was no Christianity at that time. You know what I mean? But at the same time, yeah, I agree with you. Like there was no organized kind of idea besides just going to prayer and doing things like that. But here's the thing. God's not there with his fucking little clipboard out saying, who went to church today? Okay, you're on the good list, like Santa Claus or some shit like that. You don't need to do that. In fact, it doesn't prove anything. There's plenty of people, you know them too, that go to church every fucking Sunday and they're the biggest pieces of shit in the fucking world. Now, I'm not going to generalize. That's not everybody. But I'm just saying going to church and fucking walking and going through the motions does not make you a person that's going to heaven and that idea of what that means. But however, why can't people just chill, do their own thing, believe what they want to believe, act as if, right? Be moral, be ethical, be a good person, and call it a fucking day. That's where the organized thing it just takes me for a loop. You don't need to organize about this. It's almost like it's a Sunday's best thing to me, bro. And this is what kind of upsets me. I'm going back to the cons now, just if you haven't realized. It seems like people feel like they have to show everybody how much of a Christian or how much of a Muslim or how much of, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. They've got to show people, they got to highlight it. They got to fucking project it to make them feel like they are worthy to be in the right place and that they're going to go to heaven or nirvana or whatever it is. It's nonsensical, especially.
I will say this, Scott. Being a good Christian and showing the world that you're a good Christian does not happen on Sunday. It happens on the days in between Sundays.
It happens on the rough days where you can't go anywhere, when you're, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're right. If you're talking about trials and tribulations and shit like that, it definitely doesn't happen every Sunday at 9 a.m.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
everyone acts like perfect in church.
Oh, dude, and they wear their best. You know, the kids are like, you know, all done up and everything. They put on their little fake faces. And I'm not saying everybody, but obviously I've been jaded a little bit. But no,
Well,
and
you make your lemonade at those moments when you have an opportunity to make a decision morally, ethically, religiously that no one will find out about.
well, Bob,
That's the pudding that you're making there. And if that's the time that you want to be religious and execute your religious beliefs and no one's going to be around, that's how it needs to be done. Not I'm going to go do whatever the fuck I want and then I'm just going to go say 35 Hail Marys and I'm done and I'll be absolved and I'll be all good, right?
oh yeah, don't even get me fucking started on the Hail Mary shit. But I will tell you this, and I don't know, I don't remember the exact quote, and I apologize, everybody. But one of the best things that I remember hearing is, "You are the person you are when nobody's looking." You know what I mean? Like that. That's who you really are. So if you think you're a good person and you're a piece of shit when you know nobody's looking, you're not. You know what I mean? But I love that because that kind of takes away the whole allure of organized religion, if you ask me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's basically like, hey, dude, I know I'm a good person. How do you know that? Because when I'm all by myself and nobody's looking, I'm still a good moral person. I'm ethical. I do the right thing. I care about other people. I'm selfless. I put other people in front of me. I don't need an applause. I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need fucking, affirmations about it. That's where things flip, man. And I think that's where things they get polluted. It gets disgusting. I think more that people focus on these worldly praises of their holiness, of their righteousness, the more, I think, the further they are actually away from it, Bob.
No, 100%. In fact, I'm always telling my son, if you live your life like it's being live casted on YouTube, then you'll make good decisions.
Yeah.
You just will.
If you're Truman in the Truman Show, you'll be good.
Right. As long as you know that everyone's watching. But if you just live your life that way, and honestly, dude, this is the thing that went around the internet a couple of months ago. This is the whole returning the cart theory.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, Glenn Danzig, I think, said that, didn't he? What a great quote. And you know what? I'm just going to say this before you get started, though. I've always returned the fucking cart.
I return the carts too. In fact, on my way back to returning the cart, if I see a couple of stragglers, I'll return those carts too. Just to do everyone a favor.
You know what? We're very vague on what we're talking about. When you dive into this theory.
Well, so it's the whole, what do you do when no one's looking? Mm-hmm. When there's no one there to pat you on the back for doing a good deed, are you still going to do the good deed? Right.
Or do you need that praise? Right.
Do you have to have that constant affirmation from people to be a good person? And this is kind of the microcosm of like what the organized religion is, right? If you're done with your cart and there's an easy place to just put it next to the car where you know it won't hit any cars, like, oh look, I saved everyone's cars. Right. But was that really the right thing to do? Or was the right thing to do to really go put it there because you know that there's some 16-year-old kid running around in the 97-degree heat with a fucking COVID mask on, trying to get these carts, you're going to make them run all over the parking lot? No, the right thing to do is get done with your cart and tell your son to go take it back.
And that's why it's great to have a 13-year-old. But put it back in the cart corral, right? That's the right thing to do.
And then that's it. It's when no one's looking, do you do the right thing? And that's it. I mean, in essence, that's kind of religion in a nutshell. That's kind of humanity in a nutshell. If no one's looking, do you do the right thing for yourself, your family, your civilization, your country, God, whatever it is? And if you do, then who gives a shit about what you practice? Whatever happens, happens. But if you're a good person in whatever you believe at the end of our journey of existence here, then good things will continue to happen for you in all religions.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of karmatic energy, I guess, if that's even a word. But yes, no, I agree there because there's plenty of times, even with what I do for work and everything, there's plenty of times where I could do something that's solely for myself. You know what I mean? But I think about the rules. I think about how it affects everybody else on my team, and I automatically just. And this is one of the reasons I don't contribute in organized religion. I just don't. Sorry, I just don't do it. But the reason is because of that inner dialogue I have with myself. Every time there's a choice to be made, where is this the right thing to do, Scott? You know what I mean? And always I'm like, you know what? Oh, how would I want this to happen to me? There's that whole do unto others, to others do unto you kind of thing. You know what I mean? And to me, it always comes out. I was like, you know what? This is the right thing to do. If I don't do it, it's going to eat away at me.
Right.
And I think, and I think that's something that a lot of people that get balls deep into organized religion are not thinking.
Well, I can tell you this personally, I don't need the fear of hell to coerce me to do the right thing. Right. I just don't. I believe that I can do the right thing whether or not I have a flaming pitchfork waiting for me in the afterlife or not.
Sounds pretty hard. Dude, that sounds like metal right there. Just get a fucking flaming pitchfork. You know what I'm saying, dude? I like that. But no, you're absolutely right. I think, man, I think there's a lot more to be said here. There really is, dude. I don't know.
We're out of time, so
yeah, I know. We're actually doing really good on time. We're doing really good on time. I'm proud of us today. We kept things a little succinct, shortened down topics earlier, so we could really dive into these two topics, because I think our conspiracy theory, and we had a lot to say about this, man. It's the way it is, man. But that's it, dude. I think, and I hate to say, I'm not going to generalize. Again, I'm not going to generalize 100%. There are some good people out there that are organized religion buffs. I'm just going to call them, and God bless you. And I don't mean that in a shitty way. However, I think if you really need to have that in your life, something is missing inside of you. And I think you need to take a step back and think about yourself and understand what's wrong with my internal workings, to where I feel I need to project this out of my body and get affirmations and praise from other people, worldly people, where at the end of the day, it shouldn't fucking matter. It's a relationship between you and God, right? If I'm going to go that level, you know what I mean? And why does between me and my God, what we talk about in our relationship, what the fuck does that have to do with fucking Joe Schmo down the street? Who gives a fuck?
I agree.
Well, I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do, buddy. This was I hope we didn't piss off too many people here, because I felt like we gave enough disclaimers to say, hey, dude, it's cool, but it's not.
It's cool. Just quit, stabbing people that don't believe in your God. And humanity will be better off. Which most people don't do anymore. We do it especially in our country these days, we do it much more civilly, right? We keep it civilly uncivil, right? Well,
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you see it even at the highest level, like the president and the Muslim ban. It's just like, well, you keep saying that, the Muslim ban that was in post, for like 90 days or something, but it keeps being brought up about, because, I don't want to get too political about it, but
hey,
instead,
this is a no political zone today.
Instead of saying Muslim ban, wouldn't you want to say a terrorist country origin ban, where we know that known threats have been likely to come from? We're not going to base it off of religion. We're going to base it off of actual, like, the threats of terrorists that hate us. But to say that it was a Muslim ban, it's just another thing where it's civilly uncivil these days. Yeah. Our segregation and our how we culturalize, religions and people that don't believe in the same religion. And again, this country is Catholic and Protestant, and everyone else is a minority, and that's just that.
That's true. It is what it is. I think, in summary on my end here, you don't need to organize religion to be a good person. If you want to participate, by all means, go right ahead. But don't expect me to give two shits about it, because I got my own thing going on and I feel pretty good about myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we return the cards, so we don't need your shit.
Yeah, that's right. 100%, Bobby.
On that note, I think we're good. What a fun show. Stiffies, remember, Skinwalker Ranch, do yourself a favor. Dig into that. Chase that rabbit hole a little bit. It's a fun one.
Very good one.
other than that, keep listening to us every week, and I know that you guys do, and we love you for it. Comment on our stuff to promote the show. Our Patreon is still there if you want to promote the show and help us out and help us keep improving the show. Please make a one-time donation to Patreon. You'll find us at the Stiff Truth, or you can always sign up. I've got a few
Get squirrely.
videos on there, and
yeah,
I'm about to add another video that's for our patrons only.
Ooh.
Of my weird little outtake from when Scott leaves me alone with a hot mic,
which is always a fun time. And I'll say one thing too. I'm gonna go ahead and give kudos to Mr. Stiffy Mike Lenz for completing his homework assignment on the stiff beverages. Loved your post, my friend. Thanks for actually coming through on that. And hey, I haven't had the cocktail that you made, but I know I'm gonna try it out. I know Bobby's gonna try it out. We're gonna get in there and continue being a badass, my friend. We love you.
That's right. Great job, Mike. Other than that, that's it. That's all I've really got. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, all that stuff. If you want any swag or whatever, just hit us up. We'll work out the logistics of that. And you guys be safe out there. Try not to spread COVID too much on Labor Day. But unwind a little bit. It's been a pretty brutal summer.
Fucking A, man. All right, man. Well, hey guys, take it easy. We love y'all.
See ya. This is Stiff Truth.